For over 50 hours, I've trusted chainswords, jump packs, and close combat. After that, we captured a whole planet with the boys. And today, everything changes. We're taking command of the Tau for the very first time. A faction that supposedly wins battles with discipline, positioning, and overwhelming firepower. So the question is, can this old learning general learn an entirely new way to wage a battle and win for the greater good? So, in today's matchup, we chose to keep it simple. Classic strategy command with a maximum of 6 turns. And spoiler alert, the turn limit was a definite mistake at the end. We chose the orcs as our opponents and decided on a 2000 army. It seemed like a good starting point at this time. As we have never played the Tau before, I trusted my gut on how to assemble the squad. We went rather simple. We chose the commander, as I thought it might be a badass unit, and Eternal as a healer unit, and Cadre Fireblade, as I thought it might give us some advantage with these 20% more shooting abilities. So, I basically selected every possible HQ unit, which might have been a mistake in hindsight. As far as the rest of the army goes, we went with 2 Pathfinder teams, 2 Stealth Battlesuit teams, a Reptite Battlesuit, and a Broadside Battlesuit. The rest of the team we filled out with the Breacher teams. And so my initial strategy was to use the stealth teams in order to capture the left and the right objective points, while slowly moving our army around the center point. The Pathfinders were supposed to give us a bigger sight of vision in order to see our enemies sooner. And by capturing our home objective first, we would be on the board quickly, and then flank the orcs from both sides, decimating their army and take the important middle objective. Well, so far in theory. In practice, a little bit of a different story. I heavily underestimated how slow our units are, and so I only reached the outside objectives by around turn 3. Not only that, but I should have read the specs of the units a little bit more detailed. I was very disappointed in the Breacher unit squads, as their range was basically 1 to 2 tiles. From the Tau, I expected more, as they are widely considered a ranged faction. But this was by far not my only mistake that I did in this battle. I also miscalculated the use of the Eternal unit. I think over the course of this battle, I used this power exactly once. And same goes for the Cadre Fireblade. Although I must say that his power was actually somewhat useful in the encounters against the orcs. The only upside in my selection was the commander. He truly is a badass unit, and I would definitely continue using this guy in my next Tau deployment. As we shift our focus more towards the action on the battlefield again, the orcs surprised us with quick moving helicopter units. They were able to take their own home objective as well as quickly capture the center point. This put them into the lead early on, a small lead that I was not able to counteract by the end of the 6 turns. Now you might already see where I'm going with this, but those 6 turns, I would say, was 2 turns too little. As I was too focused on executing my strategy, I left my home objective unguarded. And these helicopters took immediate advantage of it. At one point in the battle, we even lost our home objective. Now, we corrected our mistakes relatively quickly by this, but it pushed us back from our initial goal, which was flank the middle from both sides and decimate the orc army with heavy ranged attacks. While the left flank was relatively successful and was able to decimate almost every orc unit they came across, our right flank got caught up and split between defending the right side objective and capturing back our home objective. As you can see in the footage, we were still fighting those orc helicopters that we were trying desperately to get rid of. The light at the end of the tunnel was our Riptide battlesuit. He was very something else, as he was able to decimate the orc units with ease. But I must also say that the orcs played it very, very well. They used a limited amount of turns very effectively and got many early points. And as the battle continued, we slowly took back the territory and were even holding on to 4 out of the 5 objectives by the end. But let's get back to the orcs real quick. Their fast-moving units and also heavy-hitting units were a menace against our towns. Yes, we were able to decimate them pretty quickly in most of the occasions, but they achieved exactly what they wanted. They tied our units down in unnecessary battles, while the helicopters took our home objective. And with that, they were easily in the lead and reaching the end goal of this mission, and that is having more points than the opponent. As you can see in this episode, we were desperately trying to think about a strategy of how to reclaim our home objective while still be able to flank whatever we needed to flank. And we even had trouble defeating this helicopter. We even had to use the Riptide battlesuit to give it the last blow. Saying that, the Riptide battlesuit was very good. I must say I was very impressed by this. Same goes with the broadside battlesuit. The ranged attack of this guy was something else. It was amazing. As well as the commander. The commander was a unit that I would definitely use again in future battles. As we move into the endgame here and see my last few battles on the left flank, I will spoil a little bit. As I mentioned before, we slowly took back control of our territory, and by the end, we were even holding 4 out of the 5 objective points. But unfortunately, this was all by the end. And so I must say, this was too little, too late. With the 6th and last turn, we ended up losing 55 to 60. A very close and epic battle, and nothing to be ashamed of, to be honest, because we were commanding the Taos for the first time. As I'm closing off this battle, I must say I learned pretty much. For example, that the Eternal can only have melee damage, and that the Breacher unit is basically a melee unit as well. Also, that the HQ units, you don't need all of them to win the battle. So, what do I think about the Tau? I think they're a pretty cool unit. and I'm expecting a steep learning curve, something to look back and laugh at. However, some of these lessons are very important, and so I will summarize them now. Soon, as you use an action point with your stealth suits, they are not stealthy anymore. This will give me amazing opportunities in the future, but in this particular battle, these suits were greatly misused and were not effective at all. Another lesson is that the Tau are not only about ranged combat, especially not the breacher units. They actually need to be close to distance to deal some damage. So, if we want to keep our distance, let's not get this unit next time. Last but not least, let's choose our strategy a bit more careful next time. We probably did not need all 3 HQ units and could have used these points more effectively. And with that being said, what did you guys think of my approach? Was I correct in the choice of my strategy? Or would you have chosen differently? Let me know in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed this battle report and hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye.